And they said, President Trump started screaming, ranting, and raving that on the southern border, where we are right now building a tremendous wall, that I wanted a wall, but I wanted a moat. A moat, whatever that is. Not a word I used, but they used it. A moat. And in the moat, I wanted alligators and snakes. And I wanted the wall to be a fence, and I wanted it to be electrified. And I wanted sharp spikes at the top, so if anyone gets it, it goes piercing through their skin, is somewhat the way they said it. Skin-piercing spikes. It was a total lie. It was corrupt reporting. I don't even use fake anymore. I call the fake news now corrupt news because fake isn't tough enough. And I'm the one that came up with the term. I'm very proud of it. But I think I'm going to switch it largely to corrupt news because the media in this country, not everybody, we have some great reporters, some great journalists, but much of it is corrupt. It's corrupt. You have corrupt media in this country, and it truly is the enemy of the people.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, as Joe Biden is all but done now due to the Ukrainian scandals, we have Bernie Sanders going down with a blocked artery. Is the dark horse ticket going to be Clinton, Warren 2020? You guys are going to want to stick around to talk about that. Plus, President Trump is taking the gloves off, and he is calling out the fake news for what they are. They are the corrupt media. So you guys going to want to stick around to hear that and a whole bunch more. I hope you guys enjoy. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. As always, I like to begin by saying thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't come here, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Q Post 3570 is where we left off August 1st. It's been a while. Q should be coming back soon, presumably, but we're in the middle of Red October and we have a big show, so I'm just going to get right into it. Before I do that, please come watch these videos, share them on your social media. Look, there's a lot of great information in this last video I did, and for some reason, I'm not saying anything, but it seems like the views have been suppressed and tamped down. With that in mind, either way, you guys need to go watch these videos, share them on your social media. There's a big story here with everything that we continue to uncover. And Red October is happening right now as we speak. President Trump is on the offensive. The gloves are off. He's coming after the deep state, and it is incredible. And the big tech, corporate, fascist, authoritarian censors are going to do everything they can to keep this information from getting out into the public. Why? Quite simply put, because they are all complicit and they are all in bed with these individuals who President Trump is working every single day tirelessly to expose for we the American people. And that is why they hate us. That's why they are trying to destroy us. That's why they're trying to silence us. And that's why President Trump is taking the gloves off. And we're going to get into that in this video. At the end, we're actually going to go through highlights of President Trump's incredible press conference today where he called out the media, he called out the Democrats, he called out all this corruption and this coup and this treason, and I couldn't be more thankful. And so with that, if you guys also are going, what's QAnon? What's this guy going on about? Like, watch this video, What is QAnon, The Great Awakening? It'll give you all the information you need, plus a whole lot more. So think about this. Bernie Sanders has just undergone emergency heart surgery. And of course, we're thoughts and prayers with him and his family through this, because obviously that is our duty as Christians to pray for others, especially those who may not agree with or like all that much, right? But with that in mind, this clears the field. Now, what do you mean clears the field? Well, a lot of people have been talking about how, this whole whistleblower thing could have been set up by President Trump and it could have all been pushed by him, which makes sense, in a lot of different ways. But I think let's put it this way. I have sources that I talk to about what's going on, and they give me little tidbits here and there. And I can tell you right now that we should probably start looking at this from the perspective of the whistleblower is not even as important as who gave that whistleblower the information, how did that whistleblower contact members of Congress before filing their whistleblower complaint, and how this whole thing is orchestrated in order to undermine a duly elected president and remove him from power. Just as we saw with the Russia hoax, the collusion delusion, as President Trump would say, we now are seeing this with the Ukraine issue. But as we'll see President Trump explain later, they never thought he would release the transcript, right? Now, Bernie Sanders, heart attack or heart condition, heart surgery. He is going to probably be out of the race. So somebody pointed out to me, well, isn't that interesting how if you look at it, when Bernie Sanders gets removed from the race, he is the basically the person who is considered to be the most radical, and Joe Biden out of the way, who is considered probably the most moderate. You have to ask, what was this all orchestrated, right? Was this all orchestrated to get people out of the way so that they could have a new narrative for the 2020 election? Now, what is that new narrative? Right here, Clinton, Warren. I can't make this stuff up. As disturbing as this picture is, I apologize in advance. You are in the middle of something, I think, that was pre-planned and orchestrated. Not only did President Trump throw a wrench in it by declassifying his own conversation with the Ukrainians, but it throws a wrench in their whole plan. The whole plan, it seems, may have been, and you guys are going to want to dig on this. I'll keep digging on it. I'll keep investigating and researching, but may have been to clear the field of the radical, extreme left socialist Bernie Sanders and the moderate frontrunner Joe Biden. Now, you can call Joe Biden moderate. He's not really a moderate, but in the Democrat Party, he's about as close to a moderate as it gets these days, right? So this is what we are now going to see next. They've cleared the way for a Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren ticket. I mean, you can't make this stuff up if it is true, and I'm just reporting it to you as I'm being given info about it. But that's the story I think definitely we should be leading with on this. Not to mention, the mainstream media is continuing to try to find ways to set up President Trump. Now, this one's very interesting. So this story is coming out, reported from Politico, talking about a Trump hotel mystery, giant reservations followed by empty rooms. So what they talk about here is that basically foreign governments who would go to Trump hotels and buy up a bunch of rooms that they wouldn't use to try to ingratiate themselves to President Trump. This is just another fake news joke. I mean, honestly, it's a public hotel. I mean, it's a private hotel, but it's a hotel that can be publicly booked. And if you have a bunch of people that book it, they're just idiots. I think, in my opinion, I don't think they're ingratiating themselves to anybody. They may have thought they were, but again, this is just another fake news story, I believe, to try to frame President Trump in a way that makes him look bad, because the real question is this. Thomas Massey here, he's a Republican congressman out of Kentucky. He says, should senators running for president recuse themselves from an impeachment trial? And this is a great question, because they have everything to gain by putting President Trump under impeachment. Politically, it's everything for them. If they can impeach President Trump, it increases their odds of winning the presidency exponentially, correct? So therefore, they should recuse themselves from any proceedings that involve impeachment. I think the whole impeachment thing's a joke. It's their last ditch effort. Why are they coming out with it now? Well, I'll give you a hint. It may have something to do with some major breaks from the Epstein case, some major, big, disturbing information that we're going to talk about. It's being basically floated by Russia and their intelligence operations, with an American whistleblower who's basically took asylum in Russia, a former Palm Beach County sheriff who claimed to have hard drives and evidence of the blackmail operation that was being run by Jeffrey Epstein and the high-level people who are involved and documented on videotape with underage girls. We're going to get into that a little bit later in this episode, but that's definitely something you have to consider when you look at this impeachment trial and you ask yourself, really, where have we come to where the mainstream media is just turning a complete blind eye? You don't hear anything about Epstein anymore, but you do hear about a phone call where we have the full transcript released that you can read for yourself, the transcript that says President Trump did nothing wrong, yet here we are where the fake news media is continuing to attack him. And this is a great question brought up by Thomas Massey. Now, one point I wanted to talk about, this is from one of the Anons over on the boards. It says, the mainstream media is telling everybody there is no evidence of Biden corruption. That is a bold-faced lie, because below is an excerpt from the Ukrainian prosecutor's affidavit, the one that Giuliani had, gave under oath the one that Giuliani released that made them panic. This is the prosecutor that Biden had fired under threat of withholding $1 billion loan guarantee. You can believe Shokin or not, but to say, the prosecutor's name Shokin, there is no evidence is a falsehood. This is the falsehood the fake news tells you. Or excuse me, the corrupt news, as President Trump would say. But here's a part of that affidavit. This is a sworn statement from that prosecutor saying, the truth is that I was forced out because I was leading a wide-ranging corruption probe into Burisma Holdings, a natural gas firm active in Ukraine, and Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was a member of the board of directors. I assume Burisma, which was connected with gas extraction, had the support of U.S. Vice President Joe Biden because his son was on the board of directors. And President Trump, you're going to see later in this video, when we look at the highlights from his press conference today, calls out Joe Biden and his son saying they were both corrupt. He says it bold-faced. He says they were both corrupt. So you can take that and do with it as you may, fake news media, but I know the patriots out there listening are going to hear that and know that it is the truth. When it comes from the President of the United States, I don't trust CNN. I don't trust MSNBC. I don't trust the fake news that YouTube and the big tech censors who are trying to take away our civil liberties and our rights, who try to shove down our throats and tell us is the truth when we know it's not. That's what we're up against here. Trump goes there. This is not an impeachment. It's a coup intended to take away power from the people and their vote. That's what we're up against, people. This is not some, impeachment. Oh, we're just going to ask some questions and have a trial. This is a coup. We are being, our democracy, our republic is being threatened right now by these criminals in Congress, these criminals in the corporate world, and these criminals inside of the unelected bureaucratic intel community who are all actively working every day to try to destroy this country, if not for only one reason, to protect themselves. Don't forget that. They would rather see this country destroyed than to be held accountable for what they did. So this is another story now that came out. Now we have the shift. Basically what this is, the whistleblower came out, and now it's coming out that the whistleblower, before he even filed the whistleblower complaint, went and it held meetings with, guess who? Adam Schiff's staff member, one of his staff members. Think about that. That violates so many norms. And this article from the New York Times basically tries to frame it as, oh, well, now President Trump's going to try to say that, Adam Schiff was doing everything for, political reasons. But that's exactly what happened. That's the thing. And if you look at this, this is all CIA. The whole operation was CIA. And they write about it in detail. New York Times, everything telling us about how the CIA orchestrated this whole thing. So the clowns orchestrated this whole thing, and we're supposed to sit back and go, oh yeah, that's probably 100% true. Yeah, not anymore, man. Not anymore, excuse me. But we have them panicking. First of all, here's some weird stuff, right? You have John Podesta and Prince Harry and his wife, I guess, the Duke and Duchess of whatever. Who cares, right? Some fancy name that means nothing to me. They are having these secret communications, James Comey in the woods with all the trees. Now John Podesta's talking about 100-year-old Dawn Redwoods, talking about Prince Harry. You got Prince Harry's wife on Twitter showing pictures of redwoods. I don't know what these people are talking about, but they're up to something. I'll tell you that. And we should be investigating, because it's fairly obvious when you look at it. And then you have this guy, the raisin-faced turd muffin himself, coming out not more than, an hour ago, saying press conference with Finnish president shows that real Donald Trump is a national disgrace who deserves impeachment, conviction, and ouster from office. Republicans in Congress must abandon him now if they care about our country and have any hope of salvaging a political future for the GOP. That's such a funny thing to say, John. But let me ask you this. When we uncover your treason that you enacted with the Obama administration by implementing the super surveillance system known as the Hammer and then covering it up when the whistleblower Dennis Montgomery came forward with 47 hard drives that he gave to the Miami field office of the FBI under James Comey, who then destroyed the evidence proving that Obama was spying on the American people and his political opponents with your help and James Clapper. What do you think the American people are going to think about that, Johnny boy? Because I think when Q tells us those who are the loudest, I'll tell you what, you sound pretty loud right now, pal. So look, that's what that is. Now you have this. So this is the story I was talking about. We have this Russian guy defected to Russia. So take this all with a grain of salt. He was apparently a Palm Beach County sheriff around the time of the first Epstein investigation. He was said to have been privy to some evidence, but now he's saying that he has found evidence. I'm going to read this post to you real quick, and then we're going to watch the press conference that John Brennan is so terrified of. So let's read this quick post. This is guy John Mark Dugan. Take it with a grain of salt. He's took asylum in Russia. He says he's got all this dirt on Epstein, but he says this: credibility is everything. Everyone wants to know what's in the Epstein files that I got from Detective Ricari, if anything, or are they real? Today, an American journalist held the physical drive, obtained the encryption key, and unlocked it. The journalist and I decided if he didn't look closely at the faces and didn't identify anyone, he would be safe. There were videos dating back to 1994 until 2005. Once we began playing some random clips, we immediately had to turn them off because they contain girls that appear as young as 14 and engaging in acts with men as old as 60. We could only open a few videos because they were absolutely disgusting. The drive has now been dismounted. The encryption key changed to one I don't know, and the drive will be put in a safe place where I don't have access. 1.4 terabytes of documented depravity in many hundreds of videos. The men in the video, I hope you all burn in. That's his words, not mine. This is an actual backup. Well, not that I'm not. Look, if you are hurting young women, you deserve to go to hell. That's obvious. But moving forward, it says this is an actual backup of the data that I had copied in 2010. This backup of the data was probably made in 2012 or so and kept in a safe offsite location, smuggled to me here in 2017. The name of the journalist will be revealed soon, and he will be speaking about it. By the way, the FBI has these files. MI6 probably has some of them. Also, be angry. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I can tell you this right now. This is part of the reason, surely, why the Democrats are freaking out. Could you imagine? So President Trump is trying to expose this, and I want you to listen to his words, not mine. Listen to his words about all this. We're going to show you some clips from that press conference. Then when we come back, we'll wrap it up.
You heard the Adam Schiff version where he made up my conversation. He actually made it up. It should be criminal. It should be treasonous. He made it up, every word of it, made up, and read to Congress as though I said it. And I'll tell you what. He should be forced to resign from Congress. Adam Schiff, he's a lowlife. He should be forced to resign. He took a perfect conversation, realized he couldn't read it to Congress because it was perfect. It was a very nice conversation. I knew many people were on the phone. Not only were many people on the phone, we had stenographers on the phone taking it down word for word. He took that conversation, which was perfect. He said, I can't read this. So he made up a conversation and he reported it and said it to Congress and to the American people. And it was horrible what he said. And that was supposed to be coming from me, but it was all fabricated. He should resign from office in disgrace. And frankly, they should look at him for treason because he is making up the words of the President of the United States. Not only words, but the meaning. And it's a disgrace. It should not be allowed to happen. Because the whistleblower was so dishonest. The whistleblower said terrible things about the call, but I then found out he was second hand and third hand. In other words, he didn't know what was on the call. No, these are bad people. These are dishonest people. And when the American people find out what happened, it's going to be a great day. And you know what? We have to go back to building our country because 99% of Nancy Pelosi's time is spent on this. She should worry about lowering the price of drugs, which I've done. But it's hard to do it without the help of Congress. About creating border security, which I've done. We now have hundreds of miles of wall under construction on the southern border. She should worry about infrastructure. She should worry about the USMCA. She's not doing it. I just saw part of a press conference before the president came. I'm sorry to bother you with this, Mr. President, because we have other things to talk about. But I will tell you, I just watched part. She says, oh, drug prices. Well, she's been trying to get drug prices down for, how long has she been in Congress? For years. She should focus on her own district. Do you see what's happening to her district? We call it tent city. It's terrible. In fact, we just sent a violation to the city of San Francisco. Unsafe water, unsafe conditions, environmental, EPA, our EPA, which is doing a great job, is sending Nancy Pelosi, with all the talk about EPA, there's needles and drugs all over the street. There's tents. There's people that are dying in squalor in the best location in San Francisco. It used to be a great city. Now you have to see what's happened to San Francisco. You happen to see what the Democrats have allowed to happen. As an example, what they've allowed to happen. Just take a look to Los Angeles, great cities. One other thing. Yesterday, as you know, I was sued by the governor, Gavin Newsom. He's another beauty. I was sued by him. He's a do-nothing. Sued by him so that I can't get on the ballot in the state of California. It was a massive story. It was the biggest story, Mr. President. It was headlines all over the place. Trump gets sued by this do-nothing governor in California. It was big. Here's what happened. Yesterday, I won the case, very convincingly. A very tough, smart, highly respected judge, not a Trump person at all, not appointed by Trump, appointed by somebody that you would call the opposition, came out with a scathing and tough opinion. I won the case. I didn't see one story that I won that case. Not one story. From the fake news. I didn't see Steve write it. I didn't see you write it. I didn't see anybody write it. So let me just tell you, just to finish. Nancy Pelosi and Shifty Shift, who should resign in disgrace, by the way, and Jerry Nadler and all of them, it's a disgrace what's going on. And we should be focused on making America great again and keeping America great, because that's what we have to do. And when I look at that parade with military and millions of people and everything else, we better get smart. We better start focusing on the right things. Because what they did with this nonsense, think of it. You have a perfect conversation with a president of another country, Ukraine in this case. And they try and say, oh, let's impeach him. They've been trying to impeach me from the day I got elected. I've been going through this for 3 years. They've been trying to impeach me from the day I got elected. And you know what? They failed. And this is the easiest one of all, because this one is based on one conversation. What about Obama's conversation with the president of Russia, where he says, hey, tell Vlad I'll talk to him after the election's over. I'll talk to him. Nobody reports that, right? That stuff you should report. But you people should be ashamed of yourself. We have the most dishonest media that you can imagine, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
That the identity of the whistleblower should be protected.
I don't care. Look, I think a whistleblower should be protected if the whistleblower's legitimate. But when the whistleblower makes a big report on the conversation I had with a president of Ukraine, and it was a great conversation. We talked mostly about congratulations on your win. We talked about corruption, and we're really referring mostly to 2016, because what the Democrats did in 2016 was corrupt. And let's see what happens. They're more concerned with that than they are with me and impeachment. They're trying to hide what maybe is coming. I let our great, if you look, I let our great law enforcement take care of it, okay? Attorney General Barr, I guess, is working on it, and I hope he's working on it, because what happened in 2016 is a disgrace to this country. And they're more worried about that, because they know they're guilty as hell, all right? They're much more worried about that. When a whistleblower, okay, are you ready? I heard the whistleblower's report from you people, and how bad it was about just a simple conversation. By the way, this whole thing revolves around a simple conversation. And if you remember at the beginning, it was quid pro quo. That's all you heard about. And I think he said 7 or 8 times, quid pro. In other words, you're going to do that or we're not going to give you money. You're going to do this or we're not going to. I never said it. But when I heard these horrible stories come out, I had no choice but to release a conversation, which I hate to do, and I hope I don't have to do it again, with the leader of a country. I asked a certain person to call up a certain person in that country to get permission to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And if I didn't do it, and I appreciate Ukraine for allowing us to release the conversation, but it was so innocent, it didn't hurt them. If anything, it helped them, because it was a very innocent conversation. But when a whistleblower takes that very nice, innocent, Lindsey Graham said, I never knew you were that nice a person. He said, you never asked him for anything. You were really, really nice. Lindsey was saying, I never knew you were so nice. That was a perfect conversation. I heard Rick Scott today say that was a perfect conversation. How can they impeach him on that conversation? He read it. He's a very smart guy from Florida, Rick Scott. And he said, that was a perfect conversation. How can you impeach somebody on that conversation? But the whistleblower wrote not that conversation. He wrote a vicious conversation. In other words, he either got it totally wrong, made it up, or the person giving the information to the whistleblower was dishonest. And this country has to find out who that person was, because that person's a spy, in my opinion. You ready? So when a whistleblower, purposely or not, gives something that's totally erroneous. Now, here's where I fooled them. They never thought I'd release the conversation. They never thought in a million years that I'd release the conversation. When little Adam Schiff saw the text, when he read it, he couldn't believe it. When Nancy Pelosi, who worked a day early, Nancy Pelosi called for essentially impeachment. Let's impeach the president. Before she saw the transcript, and this is an exact word-for-word transcript of the conversation, right? Taken by very talented stenographers. Listen to me. So when she saw that, I heard she went crazy. She said, we can't impeach him of this conversation. That's a great conversation. She went by the whistleblower. And the whistleblower was so bad, I wouldn't even think about it. But here's what happened. The whistleblower was wrong. The only thing that matters is the transcript of the actual conversation that I had with the president of Ukraine. It was perfect. We're looking at congratulations. We're looking at doing things together. And what are we looking at? We're looking at corruption. And in, I believe, 1999, there was a corruption act or a corruption bill passed between both and signed between both countries, where I have a duty to report corruption. And let me tell you something. Biden's son is corrupt, and Biden is corrupt. And I'd rather run against Biden than almost any of those candidates, and I think they're all weak. But I think Biden has never been a smart guy, and he's less smart now than he ever was.
So there you have it. President Trump, in his own words, telling you exactly what is happening, and I'll let that speak for itself. But with that, I'm going to say thank you guys for coming and watching. Few things before we go. Come here, share these videos on your social media, get the word out that way. Also hit that subscribe button, and I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything that we talked about today. So leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below so that we can have a conversation. Like I say, we try to have a QAnon research board at the end of each one of these episodes, so go down and leave your thoughts about everything that we've talked about here today. Also, I'll be down in Miami at the American Priority Conference in about a week from today, and I hope I see you guys down there. There are still tickets available. There's a link in the description if you guys want the tickets. Also, if you use the promo code Craig, you will get $150 off your tickets to this event. It's going to be a great time. Some of the headliners include Donald Trump Jr., Sarah Sanders, Matt Gaetz, Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Jason Chaffetz, Tom Fitton, and James O'Keefe, just to name a few. It's October 10th through 12th at Miami, or in Miami at Trump National in Doral. So if you guys want to get involved with this, if you're going to be in Miami, you live in Miami already, or you're close enough to get down there, please go check out getting tickets. I hope I see you guys there. Don't forget to sign up for all the charity events as well. Now, also a few other ways you can help out. Come find me over here on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED, my official Twitter account. We can have a conversation over here. It's a great way to connect, and we stay connected through this. So I hope you guys go check me out on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED. Also, don't forget to check out JUSTINFORMEDNEWS.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Links to the Q stuff, different news sites, breaking news, and of course, the latest from the channel here. So that's JUSTINFORMEDNEWS.com. Go check that out. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial. You can come contribute to Patreon, which is a crowdfunding website. Your donations keep this channel alive. I couldn't do what I do without your support. So all you have to do is come here, use the link in the description, become a patron, click it, leave it's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. No, you're helping create content on this channel. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. That helps out big time. Links to both will be in the description. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For today's episode, I want to share these words out of the book of James, which talk about hearing and doing the word. Now, I don't know about you, but me as an imperfect sinner who has to constantly remind myself to be humble before God and to let God know that I'm sorry if I make mistakes or if I do something wrong, I have to remind myself about this very passage right here just as much as I think we all need to hear it on a regular basis. But it talks about not just hearing the word, but doing it. And I'm going to read this to you. It's first, or out of the book of chapter 1, James, verse 19 through, let's say 25. Okay, so let's read this. My dearly beloved brothers, understand this. Everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For man's anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. Therefore, ridding yourselves of all moral filth and evil excess, humbly receive the implanted word, which is able to save you. But be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Because if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man looking at his own face in a mirror. For he looks at himself, goes away, and right away forgets what kind of man he was. But the one who looks intently into the perfect law of freedom and perseveres in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer who acts, this person will be blessed in what he does. Now, that's an important message for all of us, right? I mean, I know I need to hear it, and I hope that it helps you guys. I hope that you understand that we're called to not just hear the word, we're called to act on the word. We're called to be there for those that are in need, to be understanding, to be God's children. And I just love this one verse here where it says, but the one who looks intently into the perfect law of freedom and perseveres in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer who acts, this person will be blessed in what he does. So what is that saying? The perfect law of freedom. It's the one who can look in the mirror and see himself as a sinner and recognize that he needs to, or he or she needs to become better for God. And it's a constant struggle every single day. None of us are perfect. We're going to make mistakes, but we have to not only forgive others, but we have to be able to forgive ourselves and move forward toward God. So don't forget that. Remember that that's one of the tricks the devil has up his sleeve, is to make you think that you're unforgivable and that anything that you've done is not good enough. Remember that if we persevere in God, we will be blessed. And that's how we share blessings with others. So that's my call to you guys. Don't just be hearers of the word, be doers of the word. Go out into the world, spread God's love, spread the gospel, and do everything you can to make this world a better place. And I really hope you guys go out and do that. But that's going to be it for me. Again, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, elbow it, twist it, whatever. Slap it, hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.